Okay, we're back here with Matt now, and he's got us inside this Trevor Emmons Jerry Haas race car Mustang, and he's going to give us a little idea what it takes to make a run.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by first looking at a few key components that we need to pay attention to during the run. So we're going to start right here with the green button on the steering wheel, which is the line lock. What this allows us to do is apply brake pressure to the front brakes and hold it there while the rear tires are able to spin. So this is going to help us during the burnout process and also the staging process. Certainly the shifting mechanism, this is kind of like an old style Lenco shifter mechanism, which is air shifted. There are other style shifters as well. Some racers use buttons as well as a ratchet type of shifter as well. But this is what Trevor chooses to use, which is a really nice unit here. We have the ignition box, which is important because we're able to make changes in the ignition box that's going to ultimately affect the way this shift light works. That's one of the features in the box that allows us to adjust the shift point. For example, we may want to shift this car at about 8,000 RPM. So every time this light comes on, it's going to trigger us to pull the next gear. One of the other key things that we need to worry about is the parachute handle, of course, because as fast as we're trying to go, like I said earlier, we sometimes forget about stopping these monsters. So again, this is the parachute handle, which hopefully we make a nice clean run we're able to get to. So let's backtrack. Let's start with the burnout. So what will happen is the crew will pull us up into the water box, and usually we try and get the tire pretty wet, about one rotation, and stop the car right at the end of the puddle, so to say. So at that point, what we do is we pump the brake up and hit the line lock like I referenced before, and we'll usually set anywhere between 300 and 500 pounds of brake pressure. Again, this locks the front brakes, allows the rear tires to spin easily. So with that being said, we'll pull the car into fourth gear, and we'll let the clutch out, and just about the time the tires get moving, we will pull it into high gear and let the line lock go, and we come out of the water during the burnout process. We usually try and burn out in a particular spot at the starting line where the crew is kind of determined where we're going to stage the car. Sometimes that's right in the middle, sometimes it's a little bit off to the side, just depending on, again, the condition of the racetrack. So what will happen is, as we come to a stop, we'll push the clutch back in, we'll put it back in low gear, and we'll put it in reverse. So we'll back up from the run. As we back up from the run, my lovely wife, in my case, Jennifer, backs us up, and she gets us where we want to stage the car. We usually get somewhere between 20 and 30 feet behind the starting line in a lot of cases, and then what that allows us to do is kind of fine-tune exactly where we want to be on the starting line. And usually there's another crew member behind us that kind of steers us up. So my wife kind of positions us about a foot from the starting line. At that point, we adjust the wheelie bars like we talked about, which is one of the last critical things that really affects our run in a very big way. So once the wheelie bars are done, my wife will motion us up to about 6 inches from the starting line, at which point I'll usually double check and make sure my seatbelts are tight, make sure I've got good oil pressure, and at that point I'll start the staging process. And what that really consists of is we roll the car forward and we light the first light on the Christmas tree. At which point we'll stop the car. We'll engage the line lock. So we'll pump the brake up a little bit, get about 300 pounds of pressure, and what this allows us to do is kind of slide the car into the second beam, which is the starting line. So with that being said, what we'll do is we'll rev the car up a little bit, and we'll start to just ever so slightly ease up on the clutch pedal, which allows the car to creep forward. Once the second light comes on, we mash the clutch as fast as we can, go wide up on throttle, dump the clutch and let the line lock go. At that point, we're hoping we're in the groove and waiting for that shit light to come on, at which point we pull second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and fifth gear. About that time, we reach up for the parachute lever, and we're getting close to the finish line, so we deploy the parachutes usually about 100 feet before the finish line, because at 225 miles an hour, we're traveling at over 330 feet per second, which is a football field plus the end zones. So at that point, we'll push the clutch in, we'll reach up, shut the ignition off, put all the levers forward, we'll turn on the return road, and with any luck, the camera crew's coming up to us because they want to hear about the run that we just won.